Hardy car, ho yo ho, in a bottle of Across the Other Pond. I'm Laz.
And I'm Cody.
And we're not across the pond, but we're across the other pond.
Other pond? The show where we speak in a musical tone for at least a quarter of the episode.
Yes. That is what I like to do, and it is the thing that we do. So 25% of the entire episode will just be like this.
Do you ever do that when you're at home alone and just like really do weird melodies while you're walking around? I just make up the weirdest fucking songs when I'm walking around my house by myself. Oh, yeah. I was like, walk into the kitchen.
I'm glad you do that, because I do that all the time. I actually like...
I do it so much.
I kind of edit all of my like mannerisms. Like, for instance, when I go, sometimes, like, when I'm thinking about something, like, I don't go, I go, like, I do, like, a tritone.
You gotta spice it up, add a little melody.
Yeah, like, I'll do that, like, or, for instance, it's like, I also do, like, a bunch of, like, pentatonic stuff, like, you know, if I'm saying it's like I'm hung, I want food, it's like, 我要吃点东西. You know, I'll just like do like those little things, like tritones, and I don't know why tritones and pentatonic stuff are like my main thing.
You know, one of my memories of you is we were in the shopping, we were at some store, and you heard the cashier lights or whatever it is. You're like, that's a tritone.
Oh yeah, that's the Aldi's.
But
well, that's not a tritone. You just saying
that one's like a major third. That
was a minor seventh.
What it was.
You did was
it minor seventh?
Yep, that's a minor seventh. You just sang. But like what you're talking about is the cash registers at that one Aldi's. Like, yeah. And there's a reason I stay away from that Aldi's. I really hate that Aldi's. Like, all the other Aldi's around the area, they're really nice, except that one, just like complete shithole of an Aldi's. Like, it's like there's a reason that I've had a bad impression of Aldi's for most of my life, was just because the only one I ever went to is that piece of shit of an Aldi's. Like, seriously, it's dirty, and their cash registers use tritones to scan things, and like it's weirdly dimly lit. It's like, you know how it's lit? It's lit like you went to the wrong warehouse at 3 a.m. so you're going to get fucking murdered soon. That's how it's lit in there.
And then they're gonna stack you in a box and mail you off to another country.
Yeah. In cans. They're gonna can you first. They're gonna slice you up, and they're gonna can you, and then and then ship you off to like...
Canned human is sold in very few markets.
Oh, I wonder if there actually is canned human.
There's canned human. Be. I don't think anybody marketably sells canned human.
Well, you know, like, I mean, like,
Soylent Green. Sure, like, Soylent Green is people.
Well, I'm sure there's like black markets for it somewhere. You know, unmarked cans of
maybe
of human
unmarked
meat.
Cans of meat. Maybe that's mystery meat.
It's long pig.
Careful when somebody says they're serving mystery meat to you.
Yep, especially if it's out of an unmarked can.
All right, what are we talking about today, Les?
We are going to continue to talk about not Overhead. We're going to talk about Undertale. And so we are going to talk about the ethics of Undertale. Like, we are... I did say that. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, you got it.
I was just getting like... Because the other day I was getting confused with that word and ethnic.
Ethnic. This is
Ethic.
ethics, not
Yeah.
ethnics.
Yeah. See
Ethics.
how it changes
Ethics and
the
morality
tone of what we're talking about?
really would change the tone. And I feel like we would need to have some other professor on here to keep us
Well,
in line.
I just think people would get the wrong impression of us. But like, okay, the ethics. We're going to talk about the ethics because in the last episode we talked about how it was such a game changer, literally, you know.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah, we barely touched on it, so we really wanted to go into it on this episode. And again, I just want to say, if you haven't played Undertale yet and you're listening to this, go play Undertale first. Go and experience it for yourself and come back and listen after you're done, because it's truly so. It is a game changer. That is the exact word to describe it. It took JRPGs or that whole style and went, what if we did this?
And, you know, I really wish I would have, to be honest, I would really wish I would have gone into that game. But to be honest, that's what Toby Fox advertised it in the beginning. The RPGs where no one has to die, you know?
Yep. That was the tagline, where you don't have to kill anybody.
I think it would have been cool. And I think anybody that wants to play Undertale should go into that game without knowing anything. Just play it like a regular game.
Oh, yeah.
You know? Because I think
a complete blind playthrough must be such a gift of an experience, I think, especially we're so far away removed from it at this point.
Didn't you say you went through and just killed everything, or?
No, I went through and I already knew that the pacifist run was like the best run.
Yeah,
So I went in knowing that I didn't want to use the main combat. I feel like if I'd gone in blind, I for sure would have probably killed Toriel, because the way that fight is lined up, you have to like just do nothing basically. Like it's a real just do nothing fight to figure out the pacifist version, because it's like you made every single fight its own puzzle of like, how do I empathize with this creature in the correct method so that I understand them, which I think is the biggest message of Undertale, is empathy with whoever is in front of you.
But that's a really, you said something just now that really hit me hard. It was like everyone is a puzzle, you know. Everyone is like you got to use empathy to figure people out, and like,
yeah,
that is a beautiful way of looking at what Undertale is trying to do. And I actually never thought of it like that, because like, when you're trying to understand other people and how they think and whatnot, you really have to enter their own world and figure out. It's like a labyrinth, right?
Yeah, and you're working with incomplete information a lot of the time too. Unless you really know somebody, you usually don't know the last like 10 years of their life. You don't know that. You just kind of have to piece it together as you're in a conversation with them.
And you don't have the same associations in your head like they do. You know, you could you know, talk about oranges and then the other person just suddenly shrieks in pain, you know, and then it's like, wait, what happened with oranges with you? And it's like, my mother died in a freak orange accident. And it's like, oh, okay, you know.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
And then like, then that's when, you know, you go outside and you go to the mall, and you just, while they're not paying attention, you just quickly like fast walk past the orange Julius so she doesn't see it, you know.
Yeah, you distract them with the conversation, walk real quick, and then you get over to the Jamba Juice instead of the orange Julius.
Exactly. See. And that's what you kind of got to do with people. You just got to, like, you know, work with them. And especially if you want people to change, like, at least that's what I've always seen, you know, especially being around, you know, a lot of very radical thinking people, you know. Like, if you want to get them to change their minds, you got to really listen and work with them first. You can't really just be like, you're an idiot. So
yeah, you can't go the hostile method, very few people have had their mind changed by being told they're an idiot.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I've always told you, right? It's like, how do you tell an idiot they're an idiot without telling them an idiot? But I've also
Yep.
tagged on something new. It's like, so how do you tell an idiot they're an idiot without telling them an idiot? And how do you know you're not the idiot yourself? You know? So like I I constantly like, and this is also probably a lot of my psychological kind of like problems is where it roots from is that I just always question everything. And if
Uh-huh.
I am very absolute about something, I always have to give myself a little space to be like, maybe it's not like that, you know? And, but especially with people, even if you know you're right, like for instance, if you know, like, I don't know, monkeys like bananas, and you really know at least one monkey, like this one monkey, you know, oh man, he goes ape shit on that banana, you know, every time they see it. And it's like, then you meet someone's like, yeah, that monkey hates bananas. And even if that monkey is like eating, like just going ham on a banana right in front of them, it's like they're just like adamant about it. It's like that monkey hates bananas. You got to be like, hmm, just kind of like listen, you know. It's like, so why do you
Yeah.
think that? And it's like, yeah, it's like I've seen him eat oranges before. And it's like okay, um yeah, and
What if he likes oranges and
oh, that's
bananas?
blasphemy, man. That's blasphemy. You can't even
You're
say
right.
that.
You can't put those
They'll
two fruits
scream, they'll
together.
go ah, ah, ah. But you know, like,
No, I think
yeah, I mean, like both of us I think kind of take that approach to a certain degree. I think both of us are kind of like, we like being the, you know, the,
I think we're both empaths. I think that's the word that is mostly prescribed to that, where you take in other people's emotions and try to put them together like a puzzle
mhm,
piece and just really figure out what is causing the like
mhm,
friction in the
mhm,
moment. And I usually like to think, I think this is also something Undertale does well, is it becomes not you versus the other person, but you and that person versus a problem.
mm,
And you take it out of the context of a fight between you
mhm.
two
Yeah,
people and move it
exactly.
out and go, why is that a
Mhm.
problem? And how do we together fight that
Yeah,
problem?
and that's what I've been trying to do a lot when I meet people that are very adamant with their ideologies, you know. Like cuz I it's one thing to have an, well, I don't like ideology. I like, okay, ideals are okay. Like I think
Mm-hmm.
ideology is like the what is the is like the bad connotation version of ideal. Ideal has a good connotation. I ideology has a bad connotation. They basically mean the same thing. It's just like ideology seems to be bad, and then uh, you call, and if someone holds really tight to their ideology, they become an ideologue, and they just kind of blindly follow that without really thinking about it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so you kind of got to work for, it's kind of like meditation in a way. And I don't think people know this a lot about meditation. Well, I'm sure you've know a little bit about this from reading Thich Nhat Hanh. Thich Nhat Hanh
Oh
talks
yeah.
about this, how you don't control your breath. You first work with it. So if you're first like almost like breathing really fast, like hyperventilating, start from there and work down. Just kind of breathe,
Yep.
work with that. Just like notice that you're like almost hyperventilating, and then just kind of just let it be, and just kind of keep going with it. And then eventually, if you just keep saying, okay, I'm breathing in, I'm breathing out, I'm breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, you just kind of start to naturally get slower. And it's
Yeah.
the same thing with like working with ideologues, and working with people that are very, very um just adamant with their thoughts. Like you got to work from their end and then slowly kind of chip it down. But the thing is, you probably won't get all the way to your end if they're like on the complete opposite end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
But you'll get them. I find getting them even a little closer towards me and my.
Yeah, we
Mhm,
were the example. A good like methodology of that, as we were talking about right before we got on the podcast, is like chipping away at a mountain.
mhm.
You can't take the whole mountain down in one go.
Yeah.
You have to just work at it a little bit at a time, and just really like it's just like sowing a field, stuff like that. Nothing comes immediate,
Mm.
stuff like that. And I think a lot of problems people have are wanting people to flip a switch and be like a different person,
Yeah. Like
and it just doesn't
it
work.
kind of reminds me of like when I was in high school and I had a huge problem with depression, and a lot of people without depression didn't understand it. So it's like I'd be sulking, and then people would be like, "Why are you so unhappy with everything? Just be happy." And it's like, if I
Mm-hmm.
could do that, I would be happy right now, you know? Like people don't
Yeah, it's like,
understand that catatonic
gee, thanks,
depression.
I'm cured.
Yeah, exactly. Which like a lot of time nowadays, like I know because back then I just assumed that everyone should know my thoughts, but nowadays, like I when I want something, I just tell people it. You know, it's like nowadays if I'm depressed, I just tell people it's like, man, I need a hug right now. And I need a hug. I need to go out. I just need to go walk around. Just need to talk it out and I'll be cool. You know, it usually takes like 15, 20 minutes. I'm good, you know?
Yeah.
And so now with that, now pretty much all my friends and my family know, hey, if he's not feeling that great, you know, just talk and he'll be fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, you know, and I think trying to get back into Undertale, like with the thing is when two people are like have like my like completely different goals and they're like contrasting goals, they're kind of like fighting with each other. What happens is it turns into murderous intent, you know, like
Yeah.
it becomes like you like oranges, I like bananas, oranges suck, bananas suck, and then it's like you end up it's like killing each other because of oranges and bananas. That's like the main thing that we're talking about, oranges and bananas. We're just going to keep using.
I like it. Let's thread that through the
Yeah,
rest
let's
of the
just make
episode.
euphemisms with those for the rest of the episode. But like, you know, it's kind of like people just kill each other for stupid things all over the world, you know?
Yeah. I mean, when it boil it down to Undertale, it comes to just you want to escape, and Asgore thinks that you can't,
Mhm.
and he has to kill you. And it comes down to, how do I solve this without becoming a murderer as well?
And I think just monsters are like the idea of a monster is being used in place of like that murderous intent I was talking about. Like what people do when they start having that kind of murderous intent is like they will see other people as monsters and
Mm-hmm.
inhuman, you know. It's kind of like that's what happened with like the Nazis and the Jews, you know, like right before the Holocaust happened, you had all of that propaganda that was going up. It's like, oh, it's like here's your your everyday Jew, they have like fangs and they drink the what is it, the blood of children and all this stuff. Like they actually had posters like that,
Yeah.
like trying to dehumanize Jewish people. And that's what happens. And that I think that's what Undertale is trying to show. And frankly, a lot of art pieces, like in movies, TV shows, books, and whatnot, like Frankenstein. Like think of that. Frankenstein's
Yeah.
monster
Frankenstein's
was
monster.
not like bad in any sense. It was that other people saw him as a monster that turned him into a real monster. And it's the same thing
Mm-hmm.
in Undertale. Like if you start killing everything, like then you start having more powerful monsters attacking you, like Undyne turns into,
Undyne being a true
and
hero,
then
and
Sans, right?
Sans at the end, the secret boss. God, such a fucking cool
Uh-huh.
fight. I think Undertale really nails because most JRPGs come down to grind out the experience, kill everything that's in your
Mhm.
path, and you're going to do good in the
Mhm.
game. And there have been games that have had like a morality
Mhm.
meter in a sense, like Mass Effect and stuff have like Renegade and Paragon, and Fallout's always had um, being good or bad. But no matter how bad you become in those games, you can always become the hero at the
Mhm.
end. Undertale straight up says if you're being a bad person and killing everything on this genocide run, you're a bad
Mhm.
person. And there's no redemption for you. There's just you're you're being a genocidal
Mhm.
maniac, and the game's going to treat you as
Mhm.
such.
Oh, and that's the other thing. Undertale loves to break the fourth wall, and like the player actually is part of the game, you know.
Yeah.
So it's like, I mean, like, is there really like a line between the you, as in you, the actual player, and you, like the game piece in the game? Like, what is the main character called?
If
Frisk,
you
right?
go like, yeah, it's either Frisk or you can. There's a special line of dialogue if you use Chara for your
Mhm.
genocide run,
Mhm. Oh, really?
because I think Frisk is like the pacifist version and Chara is the genocide one. And then there's a like an ending thing where in the genocide run, if you are Chara, they like speak directly to it, and then you sell your soul at the end to continue playing the game because it just at the end, if you went the genocide route, it's just a black screen
Yeah, and then,
until it says, "Do you want
well,
to sell your
then, and
soul?"
then Chara appears and then kills you, right?
Yeah,
But then, like, did you know if you go through a oh man, that gives me chills thinking about it because that scene's really creepy. But
it is.
did you know if you go through another pacifist run after that at the end when you're in your bed and whatnot, like, uh, you'll wake up and then like you'll like have those like evil red eyes, like looking straight at the screen.
Yeah, I did know
Yeah.
that. It's a that's such a insane thing to do in a game is to remember all of your past like attempts
Mhm.
basically because it goes you can never recover from being the genocidal maniac that has to exist in that like you can't be that genocidal by
Mhm.
accident. The the game does not like the game doesn't let you grind that out by accident
Mhm.
basically. You know exactly what you're doing the whole time and Toby Fox says you understand that you are being a
Mhm.
maniac. You're being a
Mhm.
monster. And it's like you're completely ignoring that these characters exist in this
Mhm.
world and they have feelings
Mhm.
essentially. And if you're just going to ignore that, you're never going you can't just go back and be like, "Oh, well I'm nice this
Mhm.
time." You're
Oh
not.
yeah, that I didn't even really think about it. Like the game mechanics also kind of bring that home, like that all of your actions will have a consequence. Like, cause like
Mhm.
like you said, in a traditional RPG, you can just like, haha, I killed him, but I can just go back to the save. You know,
Yeah.
like Undertale, you can't really do that. Like, or like, can you? I don't think you can, right?
I don't think you can ever get a full pacifist run if you reload a save on that run. I think that it remembers that you
Yeah,
fucked up.
I remember there being dialogue changes if you did something like that.
Because there's something like 14 actual endings,
Mhm.
like with the three, there's like the three overarching ones. There's the full
I thought there was
pacifist,
like 9,
a neutral
like
run.
3
Yeah,
neutral,
maybe it's
3
nine.
pacifists, and 3, uh, what is it? Genocide. Yeah.
Genocidal.
Like, but yeah, that's another thing that I think, I don't know if any other game really did anything like that before Undertale, like really like made like going into the files and messing up the files and like being able to remember that you did saves and whatnot. Like
Hmm.
I know like things like Doki Doki like Literature Club came out like after that, but like I don't think there probably is some games that are like way out there that did stuff like that before Undertale, but I don't know of them, you know.
No, I don't think anything mainstream had done that, because most of the time when you play a game and you're messing up, you just completely wipe that save and reload it. Or if you wanted to try again, you just reload. And Undertale went, I'm going to remember everything you've done, because it's like Toby made a real world that exists without you in it, and you're just moving through it, kind of like the Metroidvania idea where you're impacting the world. But it's such a crazy idea to be like when you're fighting Sans at the end of the genocide run and he tells you how many times you've died. Like, it's such a fourth wall to be like, this is how many times you've tried to do this.
Yeah.
Or, oh my God, man, that genocide run. I've never done a genocide run. I've only ever watched it, because I feel so bad thinking about it. If you wipe everybody out in an area and you encounter and it says, but nobody came, that would break me as a person.
And then the music changes too. It gets really
it just
creepy. Well, what it does, I think what I remember is they actually take Flowey's theme and they slow it down by 100% or something like that, like a big multiple.
I think you're right.
And then, are you seeing my eyes right here? Don't they see, they look okay now, but if I put them in the light, it looks soulless now.
Yeah, they got a glass over them.
But yeah, I mean, the Flowey theme slowed down like that really freaked me out when I did that. It was you just kill everything and just immediately it's just it's not, we're not in Kansas anymore kind of thing. It's just
it's that fun little theme you were listening to, the Ruins theme. No, gone. You don't get that.
Doesn't that happen for the rest of the game, or was it just the first area? I forgot.
I think that is only for the first area. I think that kind of triggers to tell you that you started the run, because man, there's he really thought about the difference between what a person who is just going through and killing everything wants a game to be versus the person who's playing it as a pacifist to look through all the puzzles and stuff. Because even when you get to Papyrus the first time in the genocide run, you just skip his puzzles. You just walk through them, basically.
And
it's just you're not going to have any fun. All of the puzzles in the genocide run are already done. You just walk through the game.
And you know what? I think that also reflects another psychological state of a lot of people that want to just get things their way kind of thing. Is cutting the Gordian knot. Have you ever heard of that?
Yeah, the simplest solution to just, instead of untying the whole knot, playing the puzzle, and instead you just cut it in half.
And I mean, that's what murder is, right? It's okay, it's we have this conflict. I'm going to end it by ending you, rather than
that is arguably the simplest solution.
Yeah, exactly. It's the simplest solution, but at the same time, well, I mean, you can't really, I mean, if it's just between two people, if you're just considering two people, but at the same time, I think it can be a lot more, convoluted than that, because for instance, it's if you're I know, fighting with your brother and sister, and it's I want to play Luigi's Mansion, I want to play Super Smash Bros, and it's oh well, slit your throat. It's but it's now I don't have anyone to play with anymore.
I mean, that's an interesting thought of that. What between two people, sure, murder could be a simple solution, but no encounter is just two people. There's always those people that other person has interacted with.
Well, I mean, if you murder a sibling, you're going to go into jail. Which that was something that I saw on Reddit today that was really interesting. Is there was this forum on what is a punishment that doesn't seem like a punishment.
I read through that thread too.
Yeah, I thought that
it was really interesting.
The concept of being an outlaw was really interesting. I never thought about it.
I'd never thought of it like that.
Yeah, that you get declared an outlaw, so nobody of the law, the police anybody, like lawyers, nobody can help you. You're not protected by the state at all anymore. So that means that, for instance, if you, you know, decide, okay, I'm going to redeem myself, I'm going to start a family, I'm going to make a garden, whatnot. It's like, and I'm going to, just start a ranch, I'm going to really turn myself around. And then it doesn't matter if you want to redeem yourself anymore. One day, like someone else, like see you got all that stuff, like they'll just be like, well, kill you, mine, and then they just don't have any.
Yeah, you have no protection.
You just don't have any protection.
You have no recourse. And which is, to bring this back to video games, not Undertale, but Red Dead Redemption talked about that basically with the way that the game plays out. And that I'm specifically talking about the first one. John Marston is trying to redeem himself because he was an outlaw. So he's doing all these basically quests in the game sense to clear his name, hopefully at the end, and live a new life. And then you realize at the end, spoilers for Red Dead Redemption, you never get to clear your name. They kill him at the end because he's an outlaw. And they got him to do all their dirty work. And they went, we're done with you. You're an outlaw. We're just going to kill you. Because when it comes down to it, if you lose that being a good person, I'm going to quote that one because being an outlaw isn't necessarily because you were a bad person. But when you lose that protection, you kind of just are on your own. Yeah.
And there's a lot of I've read some sci-fi stories about stuff like that. Like I remember, you'll have to look it up or something. I don't remember exactly the name for it, but it was a short story about how there was this punishment where, like, what they would do, they would turn you into like an invisible person. And you wouldn't actually be invisible. You would just be, actually they did this for Black Mirror too, I think. Like
Black Mirror has a similar one. Twilight Zone, I think, is the more specific one you're looking at, where they like stamp his head with something.
But I actually...
Yep, it's a Twilight Zone
actually,
episode.
there's an even older short story, like sci-fi story.
Oh, I'm sure.
I think that is probably based on, where like they would... Yeah, and that's what it would be, a stamp on your head, and then everyone would just ignore you under penalty of law, Like, so, like, for instance, like the guy in the story got really, really, really sick. And he tried to call a doctor, and the doctor was answering his questions at first, but then the doctor found out, it was supposed to be an invisible person. So, like, once they called back again, the doctor just didn't pick up, or there was like static on the other line or something like that. And so the guy almost died because he couldn't get the help he needed, you know? And so, like, and then the other thing is, like, you go to the market, like, you try to buy things, you can't, like, nobody will interact with you. But the thing is, you can actually just steal things, and
because you're looking the silver lining there. You can just steal stuff.
But Black Mirror did that too with like the whole like was it
like the blocking people? I think it's like a White Christmas episode where they you could in your brain basically be like, I don't want to see that person, and it blocks them out, and you can't hear them or see them. Or that's a terrifying concept.
Yeah, that was crazy. That episode was insane.
Dude, early Black Mirror seasons are fucking bonkers. I mean,
like that first episode, man, like going into that's not an episode you want to watch with your parents, That's kind of like, but they start there.
Definitely not.
They start there.
It's kind of wild that if you actually go on Netflix, that's not always the first episode they like suggest you start on. They like start you in the middle of season 1 sometimes.
I'd imagine like more conservative viewers would probably not want to see the episode where, we've been... I don't think we should spoil too much stuff.
We'll give you a little teaser on that. We'll leave it at that. Laz and I know what we're talking about.
Just like, kind of like, have you ever been a horny teenager and stuck your dick in ham? Like,
I think we're way off topic now that we've hit that line. Oh my god.
Okay, well, like
There's no more relatable thing than being a horny teenager and wanting to stick your dick in something weird. Don't do it. If you're a teenager and you're listening to this, just take a deep breath and don't stick your dick in whatever you were thinking about. It's never worth it.
And also, I've heard stories from my gal friends of them doing things stupid like that too, just the other way.
Yeah.
So like,
don't stick random things in you. Don't stick your dick in random things.
Stick your things in things and don't stick your things in your things. Kind of like, because you can end up in the hospital for both of those.
Yeah. There's a great Scrubs episode.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
There's no lost and found box. There's an ass box.
Yeah, actually, I think there was a thread on Reddit about that as well.
Yeah, I bet there's one every week.
But like,
doctors, what's the craziest thing you found in somebody's ass?
I'm pretty sure.
Tell us on Twitter.
I'm pretty sure.
At OtherPodPod.
Exactly. Which I was just thinking about it today. There is an emergency room doctor friend I have. I think it would be interesting to get him on here one day.
Yeah, dude, that sounds cool.
But anyway, Undertale. Yeah. So like, yeah, such a heart-wrenching game.
Really is. But also full of so much fun. Let's get back on the like being a good person in Undertale route. The pacifist run has so much interesting like benefits that I feel are leaned into. If you're being a open person who is willing to do things for like other people, like you get to experience the Papyrus dating sim. You get to realize that Undyne is into what's her name, Alphys, and just that whole, you get to experience that whole thing, and just like the world opens up when you are empathic towards people. More people want to include you in what they're doing, and I think Undertale really sells that of like the more you empathize with these monsters in quotes and understand who they are, you get to, number one, realize what the game is really about, and you get to get like the whole history of what happened between the monsters and the humans, and you get to unlock all these fun little side games that's fun for the game.
Yeah, like, and you would never listen to the immensity of the Undertale soundtrack if you didn't go through the pacifist run. Like, it's, oh man, and we talked about it last episode, like the soundtrack just absolutely amazing. But like, yeah, it's good to make friends. Like, I'll say that. Like, so
friendship, empathy, saying yes to stuff. I think one of my favorite things that you do in the pacifist run is that Papyrus dating sim, where instead of fighting, you just are like running around doing stuff with him, and just like it comes up with that whole insane screen where it's got like the radar on one side and it's got like your heartbeat and stuff, and the music gets all dating sim, like dating sim fight.
Yeah.
I absolutely just love the mechanics that are included when you don't do the combat. I think that taking away just because the combat is like the simplest thing in the game. It's just press the button when it lines up in the center. And then the fun version, the puzzles and all the pacifist route side is like, how do I understand this creature to make it do, and let me get out of this fight? Like making the mermaid thing flex off screen.
Oh yeah.
You just make him flex like 3 times and then he just flexes away. It's so funny.
Dude, like, I actually never thought about that. Like, the combat is super simple, but if you want to like defeat the enemies through kindness, you got to go through like the hoops. Like, and that kind of is the same thing in real life too. It's like, yeah, you could have a bloody war with people, or you can sit down and just have a chat, you know. And
And sometimes you hear stuff that you don't want to hear, but
Mhm.
never a reason to murder
Yeah,
anybody.
exactly. It's so I kind of like how Toby Fox has like made that reflect in the game design. Like the ethics of the game is reflected in like pretty much every little bit and piece, you know, like the music, the the combat system, the interface, the story, like the character design, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's interesting how all of these little things um come together and like create the ethical um core of the game kind of creates is it kind of reflected in all these elements and creates a completely different atmosphere for both like the genocide run and the pacifist run, because like I'm thinking
Yeah.
instantly of that one part with the monster kid. Like when it's in the pacifist run, it's just like a fun little time. It's like, oh, he's tripped, and it's like, oh, I'll help you out, whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
in the was it in the genocide run, it's like, why are you looking at me like that? It's like with those murderous eyes and whatnot. And you get into the combat thing, it's like you try to kill it and boom, Undyne protects him, you know?
Yeah.
So like
Which is like the yeah, because in the pacifist run, it almost makes it seem like Undyne's the
mhm,
monster who's being really scary,
uh-huh. Yeah,
and then it turns out in the genocide it's you who's really
yeah.
scary.
Well, and that's also one thing in the genocide run, like you hear what is it, the true hero theme only in that fight. So
Mm-hmm.
that's one thing that one song that you can unlock in the genocide run that you can't hear in the pacifist run.
Yep. There's also the Metaton version, um, the Power of Neo.
What is it? The power of Neo.
Yep. He has an extra form in the genocide run.
Really? Does he?
Yep.
I don't did was there another like song to go with that too?
Yeah.
Really?
Yep. You can look it up
Huh. Let me look it up right now. The power of Neo. Cause like I have never.
because yeah, he transforms again because that's one of the it flips the script on you when you go for a genocide run and it makes the monsters the heroes that are trying to stop you. So they get to power up. Like the battle with a true hero music like is a focused version of
Mhm,
Undyne's theme where she's like instead of the unbridled ridiculousness that is like her
mhm,
regular one, she's like I'm going to stop this monster from getting any
mhm,
further. And then there's of course the Neo one, and then the Sans Megalovania
mhm,
theme, where he's like, you know, absolutely insane and trying to stop you. And then the last, it plays with the game idea where the last thing that happens is he just, it's like, it's always my turn. I'm just not going to take my
mhm.
next turn. And you're stuck here with me. And it's like such a cool way to explain the game
Mhm,
mechanics and use them to trick you and stuff like
mhm.
that.
You know, hey, I just had a thought.
Yeah.
Is Sans regular theme like a play off of Megalovania? Because if I just thought of it, like it kind of has the same kind of what is it? Line to it, because like Megalovania, dun, 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 and then they listen to the same bum 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 bum
Yeah, it
bum
kind of is.
bum
That's what I was just,
bum
yeah.
bum bum
God, I love that main
ba-dum,
Sans thing.
boom,
So fucking good.
ba-ba-dum. Because it's still going bumpa dun dun. It's kind of like it's got like the same contour to it. So I was just thinking it's just
Yeah.
like a kind of like a jazzier, lazier version of that Megalovania theme. I didn't even really think about that. Like everything's so interwoven. Like
Again, a master of taking a theme and reusing it in so many different fun variety
mhm.
ways. That even comes with like the ethics stuff.
it, you know, like in talking about Sans. where do you think Sans fits on the ethical spectrum? Because he's almost like, in one sense it almost seems like he doesn't care. I mean, like, it maybe it's because he's like, he kind of like has seen it all already. He's like the time traveler guy, right?
Hmm.
So like, like with the time jump, it's almost like maybe he's almost like a Rick Sanchez kind of character, like where he just doesn't care anymore about anything.
Yeah, much more apathetic, but
Mhm.
still, I've it's kind of that like utilitarianism, like for the greater
Mhm.
good type of
Mhm.
stuff that Sans
Mhm.
feels like. Like in one sense, like if you're doing a neutral
Mhm.
run, Sans doesn't like stop you from killing stuff. He's not that worried about the one-off kills or the just going through the regular game and playing it like you're playing a regular
Mhm.
RPG. He just explains it to you at the end and says these are the choices you
Mhm.
made. But in like the pacifist run, like he's like, you did a great job. Like that's awesome that you didn't kill
Uh,
anything. So and then in the genocide run, he's like, I have to stop you because you are a
wait,
monster.
like in the neutral run, who do you fight in the end? Is it just Asgore, or
You fight Asgore.
and then that's the last
Um,
boss, or
I think Asgore is the final boss in the regular
Mhm.
run.
Okay.
And then I think the end of the game comes up and then it feels almost anticlimactic because it's like I think it tells you that you could have had a better
Mhm.
ending. It's like it didn't have to be this
Mhm.
way or something
Mhm.
like that.
Oh, and then that's what originally makes people like, hey, like, let's go through the game.
Yeah, be like, maybe I don't need to kill
Mhm.
everything.
Yeah. Like
I think I love how short this game is
Mhm.
too. It really stays
Mhm.
focused on like it doesn't meander about too long. Everything feels like really crisp and
Mhm.
concise and really just drives the point home because you're not spending so long doing mindless
Mhm.
stuff.
Like going back and forth, because like when you go into a new area, you don't have to backtrack pretty much. Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah. Like,
which I know is one of Toby Fox's like pet peeves in games is having to backtrack all the
well, I
time.
mean, like then he's probably not a fan of Megalovanias. Metro
Metroidvanias.
Megalovania. I have
Yeah.
yeah. I have Undertale on the mind.
Yeah, he's probably not a huge fan of those. I mean, I don't think I mean, yeah, the game that he made is nothing like a Metroidvania, that's for sure.
Yeah. But I'm just really interested now, like, I've never actually gone through a neutral run, and just the fact that Sans, I don't know, it would you say Sans is like the moral compass of the game?
I think so. I think he's kind of established as the person that explains how the world reacted to
Mhm.
you and like what your actions did to everybody
Mhm.
else.
'Cause
Because like in the pacifist run, he like hangs out with you as a
mhm.
friend. I mean, and in the neutral one, you literally don't see him until like you see him in Snowden, and then you don't see him until the end of
Mhm.
the game. If you killed Toriel, I
Mhm.
think. But if you didn't kill her, he like hangs out with you and stuff, and you just feel like he's becoming a friend of
Mhm.
yours.
Mhm. Yeah, and like the thing is, like, he also will just like, um what is it? Like, so the thing is, if you didn't kill Toriel, you really had to be, if you're looking at from the perspective of being a character in the game, then that's like a completely different person. It's like you have to
Mm-hmm.
really show character to be able to get out of that situation, because like you said before, like, to not kill Toriel, you have to do a bunch of nothing, not just once but 20 times. you know
Yep, you have to spare as you know she can't kill
yeah,
you.
because like if you try to go towards her bullets, they'll just move out of the way.
Yep, I didn't know that. I was
Actually,
panicked the whole
there
time. I was like, I'm
there
gonna
is a way
lose.
that she can accidentally kill you, and then in, like, you can force her to kill you, and like if that happens, there'll be a flash on the screen where she actually puts her hands on her mouth. Did you know that?
Oh, I think I've seen that somewhere. I've seen that GIF at
Yeah,
least.
like that can happen. Like it.
So many little things that add up in that
Mm-hmm,
game. So
mm-hmm.
cool.
Which one thing that I'm really, really like looking forward to see what happens is what's the whole deal with Gaster. You know, I'm
Uh huh.
really and like because like I was really into the whole like Matt Pat videos about like debunking all the things in Deltarune and Undertale because like
Mm-hmm.
um I really like try like hearing like the theories on those that lore because like I like hearing about like what Sans and Gaster and what is it Papyrus could be, you know.
Yeah.
Mm.
Do you think Deltarune is going to tell or have a similar game breaking level of or game changing level of influence on the genre?
I think Toby Fox is struggling with that because like I think it's kind.
I mean, chapter 1 came out what, like 2 or 3 years ago?
Well, I mean, it's almost like having your like your dad being like John Lennon or something. It's like how do you go forward after being in the shadows of such a giant, you know? It's like
Uh-huh.
it's the same thing. It's like if you make such a great game, how the hell do you follow up with that? You know?
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of game studios suffer
Mm.
from that,
But
of just stuff like that. Like Silk Song is taking forever to come out because I'm sure they want to make it as crisp as possible and just like different enough from Hollow Knight that people are gonna be like, this is a new game changing
mm-hmm,
Metroidvania, because Hollow Knight was so crisp and concise and
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
perfect. And then to move on to another game, it that sounds just incredibly
mm-hmm,
difficult. And it like even AAA studios I think suffer
mm-hmm,
with that. Like Santa Monica Studios going from God of War 3 to the God of War on the PS4 was such an insane tone
mm-hmm,
shift. Like God of War 3 is Kratos at his most toxic masculine self of destroying every god on
mm-hmm,
Greece. And then you go to God of War 4 where he has a son and he's trying to be not Greek
uh-huh,
Kratos and trying to be a father and
mm-hmm,
stuff. And just to step out of the shadow of the God of War series being just a really crisp hack and
mm-hmm,
slash on the
mm-hmm,
PS3 and making a game that was emotionally
mm-hmm.
satisfying as God of War on the
Mm-hmm.
PS4. I don't think every game developer can do that.
Well, like, and I'm sure like the fan base really there was a lot of backlash on the fan base.
I don't know if there was, because it's still
Mm,
Kratos. Like you still get to beat up gods and
mm,
stuff, but it is such a crazy tone shift. There might have
mm.
been some, but I don't think it
Well, I mean,
really.
because like there's always like a part of the fan base that will get like crazy about some little thing like that. Like for
Mhm.
instance, like there was a lot of people that apparently hated the Breath of the Wild soundtrack, and to me,
Yeah, because it's so non-Zelda
that's like
like.
the best thing of it. Like I love that
Mhm.
soundtrack to like the at to the bottom of my heart, man. But like yeah, fan bases always have like a part of it that I guess they want everything to almost be the same, but at the same time when you cater to that fan base, it becomes something kind of like how Star Wars Episode 7 kind of just became a clone of,
Yep.
you know.
Yeah, those fans want something that's exactly the same but also totally
Mhm,
different. You find it in like music, like fans of certain
mhm,
bands as well, too, where a band will move in a different like sonic
mhm,
direction, and a bunch of fans will get up in arms because like, well, that doesn't sound like your last album, and I really like, why are you not doing the music that made you famous or whatever? And it's like, it when it comes down to it, creative people make what they want to put
mhm,
out, and you either need to get along, like either embrace it or just don't shit on them about
mhm,
it. It's
mhm.
ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, especially like rock bands that are supposed to do that. But I mean, like Nintendo is like one of those innovators that do that all the time, and sometimes they come out
Mm-hmm.
with like bombs like Zelda 2, or like you can argue the Skyward Sword was kind of like that too. But then they always, or like a better one, the Wii U, like that bombed, and a
Yep.
lot of people agree that that was a bad system, you know, or it was a lazily built system, let's say. And like the thing is, though, Nintendo is willing to up their game each time, and sometimes they bomb, yeah. But then by doing this, they also very often come up with some amazing, amazing games.
Yeah, and just knock it out of the park, and nobody even comes
Yeah.
close.
Because, like, I think after the PS2 beat them in that whatever generation that was, I think that was third or fourth generation, fourth generation.
Something like
Like,
that.
I think they started as like, okay, enough is enough. We're gonna beat you, like, hands down each time.
Uh-huh.
Now you got systems like the DS, the Wii, like the Switch. Like these are systems that have such a high demand that they have to re-release them every once in a while and in different forms
Yep.
too. I don't know how many different reiterations of the DS they had, you know.
Oh my god, it went this is my biggest gripe with Nintendo, honestly, though, is their naming convention for the
Mm.
DS. It went, I think it was DS, new DS,
Uh,
DSi, new DSi, 3DS, new 3DS, and then I think there was the 3DS
and then
Max or
there was
something.
the
It's like,
2DS.
why are you calling it
Yeah, there
this?
was also the XL, the 3DS XL, and then
Yeah.
there's the 2DS where it didn't. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. It's
So like it was, yeah, they just.
it's not as bad as Xbox's naming conventions
Mhm,
now, but
mhm.
gosh.
Yeah, you're gonna get to a point where it's like there's so many Xboxes that you just ask yourself why box, why box anymore.
That's a good joke. That was a good one. I like that
But
one.
like, um, yeah, sometimes like you gotta do, and I think Undertale is one of these like innovators that really, you know, really came into the spotlight at the perfect time, and really hit it,
Mm-hmm.
knocked it out of the park. Like, it did something that was completely unconventional, but its unconvention, or let me say, its opposition to convention is what made it turn into a new mainstream. You know,
Yeah.
yep, and
I think that's a good message to end the episode
yeah,
on.
it's a little shy of an hour, but we can stop it here maybe at about 2 minutes before the
Hey, if you're liking the episode, if you're liking the content, hit the like button if you're on YouTube. If you're on
hit
iTunes, give us like a
the like
5-star review.
button, 5
Follow us on Instagram.
stars.
We're at Across the Other Pond.
Instagram.
We're on Twitter at Other Pond Pod. Um, just keep listening. Follow along. Send us messages.
To the sound of my
We'd love to hear from you guys.
ASMR. AOP.
What if we did an ASMR episode at one point? We got one of those really expensive ASMR icons far in the future.
Yeah.
If you guys want an ASMR episode,
Yeah,
let us
I'm
know.
just gonna give the mic a wet willy the entire time because it looks like ears.
I know, they're so funny. I love those microphones. It's just like, why?
I don't know. Like maybe that's what we should do. Like when I decide to upgrade my microphone, I'm just gonna get one of those ASMR mics, and I'll just have a pair of ears in front of me the whole time. You know, like just kind of like like play with the earlobes.
Just get a little squeaky sound.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get squeaky clean in the
Yeah.
pond that we're gonna hop
And
into. I'm gonna suds
yeah,
up
kind
today.
of like maybe at least like wash yourself in that pond for at least another 40 seconds to get that full hour, that full, just,
You know
yeah,
you
that
want that
whole
hour of
hour.
content, that full
Yeah.
hour of
Full
content. I
hour,
hope nobody's
one
listening to this section.
hour of content, one exact hour of content, because like you would just need at least 25 seconds more of just utter bullshit,
Just
you know, just
scrubbing,
scrubbing.
just
Have you ever
scrubbing so hard.
have you ever done this like as a practical joke? If you want to do it on one of your friends, switch up their loofah with one of those like steel wool things, man.
Oh my!
They will laugh their blood out of their body because that's what they'll hurt themselves.
And that's an hour of content. Have a good day, everyone.